Well, welcome back to another episode of 5 Minutes of Common Sense. The last time we got together, I was in Lake Tahoe, California, I believe, and it's a beautiful area. I'm right now broadcasting from Cookeville, Tennessee, near Nashville. Wonderful place. The people are so friendly here. I have to repeat what my Yankee mother once said. The North could sure learn a lot about manners from the South. And that's as true today as it was when she was alive. She's a brilliant woman. She could recognize that. People here are very friendly, and the state is just beautiful. But there's a lot that's occurred since I last got together with you. I was in California, then I went to Nevada, and to Portland and Eugene, Oregon, and then on to Seattle, Washington, and up to Vancouver, Canada. It was getting pretty hot out in the desert, so I thought I'm going to hightail it to the north, where it's cooler. Well, then I got this idea to drive to Alaska from the Canadian border, and I did. And I'm going to tell you, it was a wonderful trip. I wouldn't recommend it to everyone. It's something of an endurance test, frankly, but the scenery and the things that I will remember forever were well worth it. And of course, you have to drive for several days just to get to mile marker 1 of the Alaska Highway, which begins at a place called Dawson Creek. And I drove through British Columbia, through some of the most beautiful canyons and mountains. Fraser Canyon in particular, if you ever want to see what it looks like, just access Fraser Canyon, you won't believe it. And magnificent. And then all the way up to the Yukon on the Alaska Highway. Black bear, brown bear, caribou, buffalo or bison. You don't quarrel with them, I can tell you. They get right out of the highway. If they want to sit down, it's their territory. You're in their neighborhood. That's exactly how it works. And they're very fiercely protective if their young are nearby. Well, people are warned. If they don't pay attention, it's their own damn fault if they get injured. And, I didn't even have a passport. It's been so long since I've traveled out of the United States of America. My passports were expired. But apparently I have a friendly and honest-looking face, because twice at the Canadian borders and twice at the American borders, I was allowed to proceed without a passport. I wouldn't recommend it, however, because that is a law. And apparently they have some leeway or discretion. I did have my birth certificate, and I also had my expired passports, but I would not recommend that for everyone, because you might just be wondering what the hell you're going to do when you drive 2,500 to 3,000 miles and you can't get in the door of your own country on your way to Anchorage. There were fires occurring in Fairbanks, so I didn't go there, but it's just beautiful. I'm so glad I made the trip. Anchorage itself is nothing memorable. The city itself, I guess what is memorable is that there even is a civilized place that far north. But there's a lot of problems. They have their problems too. They say that a lot of them are dead enders up there. You know what that would be. They can't go any farther, so they end up in a place like Anchorage. The city itself, as I said, was not so memorable. Clean, but there's a lot of crime there too. However, I concentrated on the natural wildlife and all those wonderful things. I think the most enjoyable and good idea of this whole trip is getting there and getting back again. It's the trip itself that's so memorable, to see all of those wonderful things in those cities, Edmonton and Calgary and Calgary. And my gosh, places that like Williams Lake and this Dawson Creek. I mean, you really wonder. You're way up in the north. So my windshield got 2 big cracks in it, and I was told that that's a normal occurrence whenever you go on the Alaska Highway, because it's always under construction. It never stops. The construction has to continue during the summer or fall months, because that's the only opportunity they have to make repairs. And consequently, they pour oil and tar over the existing road and then just add pea gravel. Well, if you've ever seen pea gravel, it flies everywhere. And so you're apt to get a windshield broken either on your way up to Alaska through Canada or on your way home. And I got 2 cracks. I've already had the windshield replaced, thank goodness, to the insurance company. But it was a wonderful trip. Well, then on the way back, I stopped at Glacier National Park in Montana and the Devil's Tower in Wyoming. Remember that movie, Close Encounters of the Third Kind? And then I decided the only other state I've never been in is South Dakota. And thank goodness it was en route. I stopped in South Dakota at the Black Hills, and I went, of course, to Mount Rushmore, and it really is magnificent. There are a lot of tourists, I'll tell you. There's a lot of people traveling, and that's good to see. Of course, the weather was good, and that's when people get out for their vacations, and I don't regret this trip at all. It seems like all I was doing was filling up the gas tank over and over. And boy, nothing's cheap in Canada. It's expensive in Canada. Everything is much higher. In California, too. Well, there you go. This is the common sense that I have to interject in this broadcast. Those are the socialist states, aren't they? Yes, of course. Wherever you find socialism, you're going to find higher prices because the cost of living is much higher. And those politicians have to have your money, folks, to give away to all of their friends and stick a lot of it in their own damn pockets, too. We know they're scum. Why try to cover that up? But I continued on with my trip, and here I am in Tennessee, which is a beautiful state. And by the way, I may be a Yankee, but originally, but I'm going to tell you, I stopped at Ryman Auditorium in Nashville and just paid my respects. It's very awe-inspiring when you think that everyone, from Elvis Presley to Chet Atkins and Hank Williams and the Everly Brothers, 2 of my favorite performers, performed on that stage, which of course was the Grand Ole Opry. And Nashville itself is a nice town. It's dirty. I have to be honest about it. You know, I give you a truthful analysis. When I say dirty, it could be cleaner. A lot of buildings are dilapidated. The people are very friendly all over Tennessee, however. And on Broadway in Nashville, you have lots of live entertainment going continuously. Well, then I drove between Nashville to Cookeville, where I currently am, staying with some great friends of mine who happen to breed champion German Shepherds. And I mean, they're just beautiful dogs. And how would you, can you just imagine or visualize 20 beautiful German Shepherds all vying for your attention? And that's what happened here. Well, I will say goodbye for now, and you be sure to tune in again for our next episode, and be sure to register so that you can be aware when my next broadcast is going to be. And thanks again for tuning in. Bye-bye now.